Good morning and welcome to the Killik and Co market update. It's been a much calmer week in the banking sector, which is quite a relief given the volatility that we had following that collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and the acquisition of Credit Suisse by UBS. This week, UBS announced that they would be bringing back their previous chief executive, Sergio Ermotti. And this was quite a surprise, given that there weren't really any big concerns about the current chief executive. However, Sergio Ermotti was the chief executive of UBS for 9 very difficult years following the financial crisis from 2011 to 2020, and he was credited with having steered the bank through a very difficult time. UBS shares responded very well to the news, and you can see they've picked up very nicely in the last few trading sessions. Given the scale of the Credit Suisse acquisition and the difficulty of absorbing the Credit Suisse operations into UBS, and the fact that UBS is considered to be a global, systemically important bank, the board clearly felt it would be best to have someone with a longer track record at the helm. And here in the UK this week, we've had the release of the Bank of England's latest financial stability report. And here are the results of a survey from the report, which asked respondents how confident they feel in the UK's banking system. The orange bars show the proportion who feel very confident, and the purple bars show the proportion who are not very confident. It goes back to 2008, and you can see that confidence has increased a lot since then. Although it has dropped over the last year as inflation and interest rates have risen, and the current level of confidence is still above the average level that was recorded from 2016 to 2019. Here are some of the concluding remarks from the report. UK banks are resilient and are strong enough to support households and businesses. The regulations in place for UK banks mean that they have significant financial resources to absorb shocks. UK bank profits are currently healthy, and UK banks have no significant exposures to banks which have failed or are in trouble. We judge that UK banks are resilient and are strong enough to continue supporting households and businesses. It is the job of the Bank of England to maintain confidence in the UK banking sector, so perhaps the comments should be taken with a pinch of salt, but there is a lot of good data in the Bank of England's report to support their comments. This week, we also had the latest mortgage approvals data for the UK, which suggested that consumer confidence has picked up. The bank refers to mortgages as loans secured on dwellings. 43,500 mortgages were approved in February, and that was up from less than 40,000 in January. Consumers are less likely to make big financial decisions such as buying a house when they're not feeling confident, so the increase in mortgages should be taken as a good sign. And finally, the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, which represents the global music industry, has published its report for the full year 2022, and it showed that music revenues globally were up by 9%. And in particular, there was a big increase in the share of revenue coming from music streaming. This chart from the report shows the revenue coming from different forms of music since 1999. The red is physical music, i.e. CDs, and that has declined a lot. The blue is streaming, which has increased a lot. Despite this, the shares in companies that should be benefiting from music streaming have not done particularly well of late. Here we've got the chart showing Universal Music Group, which listed in 2021, and you can see the share price is currently below the IPO price. And here we've got Spotify, which listed in 2018, and again, the share price is below the IPO price. So do get in touch with us if you'd like to talk about our thoughts on the global music industry. Next week, it's a 4-day week, and there's not much happening on the corporate calendar. In fact, we aren't expecting results from any companies on the Killik & Co covered list. However, next Wednesday is the end of the tax year, so do have a think about your ISAs, your pension contributions, and using your capital gains allowances. That's it from us. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you next week.